Thanks, everybody. This is our special meeting of the Community Connectivity Grant, and present in the committee, we have Bonnie Ream-Snyder, Frank Pappalardo, Eric Olson, myself, Mary Jo Nozel. We have Tim Griswold here, and we have Kurt Procherena, our design engineer. Jim Lampos from the committee may not be able to join us today. So we planned on meeting predominantly to discuss the cost items that are expected to get from our contractor for the transportation hub. So that's the welcome. For public comment, I don't see anybody here from the public. And so next we have our discussion on the project update, including any cost items we got on the transportation hub and outstanding concerns. So unless the committee has anything they want to mention beforehand, I'll turn it over to Kurt to chime in when you want. Okay, Kurt.
All right, thank you, Mary Jo. So at this stage, the project is considered substantially complete. As everyone knows, the date of substantial completion was May 28th, 2021. The contractor still has some items remaining, predominantly Harford Road. I'll be fairly general, but predominantly Harford Road is done. Harford Avenue is done, with the exception of areas where there is a shortage of sod. We did a brief site walk with the contractor on Friday to point out those areas. And as we had discussed at the last meeting, if the town felt that they could absolutely keep the sod watered, probably for the next at least month, now that we're getting into real summer weather, we should wait till the fall. So that's something to think about. Personally, I think the safest bet is to probably wait till the fall. You would hate to have the sod put down now and then have it all die, because then the contractor may say, well, I did my part. So that's something that I think is worth considering. It doesn't look that bad down there. There's a few areas we pointed out where there's a little bit of additional topsoil needed, but the edges of the sidewalk have been stabilized with the sod, and it appears that it's doing pretty well as it is. Shore Road, they still need to pave 2 new driveways at 262 Shore Road and adjacent property. For the most part, all the curbing and the topsoil is down. We seeded on Shore Road as opposed to sod. Clearly, it's a tough time of year to seed. We'll see how that does. In that regard, rain is our friend to try to help get some germination over the summer. Connecticut DOT did an inspection yesterday at a District 2 to look at the project, part of their procedure as relates to the contractor's encroachment permit. So they identified several ramps that they felt were not in conformance based on the slope of the ramps. I spoke to the inspector and their, I should say, my point of contact today to confirm. I have sent an email to the contractor to see when he can meet out there with the DOT inspector so they can review the ramps in question together, and I will join them for that meeting. And then any ramps that are identified as non-conforming will have to be corrected by the contractor.
So are we talking sidewalk ramps or are we talking driveway ramps?
Sidewalk ramps.
Sidewalk ramps, okay.
Yes, yep, yep. So waiting to hear back on that front. I will be sending another email to the contractor. Now that we are in setting the transit hub aside, we're in sort of the closeout stage of the project where we have a punch list and kind of our final list of to-do items, and we can actually talk about some of those items tonight if you like. I'm setting up a meeting with the contractor to develop this final list. So as these items are checked off, we know that we're working towards 100% completion. As an example, one of the items that'll be on there will be additional sod required on Hartford Avenue. The 2 driveways on Shore Road that need to be paved. So as these items get completed, we will then check them off the list. We know they still need to paint the new crosswalk. They need to eradicate the existing crosswalk. Stop bars still need to be done. There's some traffic signs that still need to be relocated. So we're going to develop a very definitive list so everybody's on the same page as far as what needs to get done to bring things to a conclusion.
Will they likely do the paving in the fall or try to do it this summer?
He confirmed at our meeting last Friday that the paving of those 2 driveways would be done this week.
But the ramps, sidewalk ramps?
The sidewalk ramps would be done, as far as I'm concerned, immediately.
Oh, because I thought it was
a liability issue, right?
Yeah, because it's DOT's facility, I suspect that DOT will want them corrected without delay. And I'll confirm that when I meet with them.
Are these the ramps just on 156, or are they also on Hartford Avenue as well?
Just Route 156.
Well, at least we know they're out there doing their job. That's good.
Yeah, it's part of their standard procedure, because it's on a state highway. Ultimately, it's their responsibility, and it's all per DOT standard details, which are included in the package.
Okay.
So it is good to know that they're checking things and picking up on things that don't conform with the design.
So the design is right. It's just the construction.
That is correct.
Thank you.
As far as pricing, we essentially had 2 major items. The decorative posts, that pricing came in. Mary Jo, I'm not sure if you want to share that. It's pretty expensive.
I did share it with her.
Yeah, okay. So
couldn't
that's
see
really, yeah, really up to the committee. And then we are still waiting on pricing for the transit hub. And I think what I'd like to suggest, and I'll reach out to the contractor, when we had our biweekly construction meeting last week, he said that he had most of the pricing done with the exception of some of the products, bike repair station benches, trash cans, and the like, post and rope fence and those kinds of things. I think if the committee's okay with it, I'd like to suggest to the contractor, just give us the pricing that you do have. So at least we can see where we stand and make some decisions. So for example, if the pricing that he does have is well within budget, then at least it tells us it's viable. Because other things such as benches, trash cans, bike repair stations, etc., can be layered in at a later time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, can he do it like we did southern part of Hartford Avenue when we did that project? There was just a big spreadsheet, all different line items. And when we didn't have a price, a number that we felt comfortable, we put a placeholder in there with something we thought might be appropriate. At least that way we had something in there, a budget number. So just a spreadsheet with all the different tasks and pieces of material and associated costs. If he doesn't have a cost, we'll just, we could put a placeholder number in there.
Okay, I'll reach out to him then and essentially tell him, give us what you have. So at least we can, some data. Right now, we're 100% in the dark. And we're not able to make decisions and the clock is ticking on us. So, okay, I will reach out to him.
Yeah. Hey, Kurt, you had suggested last Friday that maybe the contractor could utilize the telephone poles that are in the laydown area right now for constructing the barriers. Do we need approval for utilizing those poles from the town?
Good question. I'll defer to
Public Works is going to probably want to know about it.
Yeah, Public Works, I guess. I guess part of it, and I'm just thinking out loud here, ultimately it's a town decision, but the poles are in two locations. They're along Route 156, inboard of the sidewalk, and I assume they were put there because they were there to prevent people from driving just right off the road into there. Now that we have a sidewalk and theoretically a post and rope fence, right, they may not be required anymore, or maybe all of them may not be required. And then some of them are interior, and it looks like those are put in there to maybe separate some parking areas or something. I'm not sure. So it may be that we only use some of them. Because these decorative pilings, there's a total of 4 of them, and each decorative piling has 3 posts. We probably only need about 3 telephone poles. So we're not talking about all of them. So it may be that there's a few surplus poles once the transit hub is built that aren't needed anyway, and we could just use those.
4 or 5 years ago, that was a tow pound, sort of a makeshift tow pound for cars being towed out of Soundview that were violating parking regulations. So that's why it's surrounded with those telephone poles, so people couldn't just get in there and drive out.
Oh, okay.
So, it could very well be that they've kind of lived their necessity at this point. So hopefully we can shake a couple loose if we need them.
I thought it was a great idea.
Yeah, I don't think they're not necessary. If we put the transit center in, they're really not necessary.
That's great. I think it could save some money. They are weathered, so they have some character. In that case, the contractor would literally just use a chainsaw. We talked a little bit about it on Friday. They would excavate their hole, put them in, and then apply the rope. And if somebody wanted to come later and either paint them, sometimes people paint them gray, or just leave them. It could certainly save us some money, and even transport. They're right there. They're at the site currently, so an opportunity to do a little recycling, if you will.
Yeah.
Reuse. I like it.
Yeah, I thought it was a great idea.
And they're already heavily coated with creosote.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I noticed some of them are pretty well bleached out, so they're not oozing creosote, and so they actually look pretty authentic.
Is there anything, Tim, that we have to do in order to use those? Would it just be a check
I
mark
can
from
talk
you?
to Ed, but if they're surplus, we can do that. And might even figure out how to put a cap on them if they sawed. They look kind of funny, might be the marinas you see sort of a lead shield on the top, but we can, if they don't need them, we could use them, I'm sure. How many posts are there to be installed?
We have a total of 4 clusters. So there's a total of 12 posts. They're about 5 feet into the ground and, plus or minus 5 feet out of the ground. And those poles are, oh boy, 25 feet long. So there's plenty of poles out there. It's more than we need, which is nice because then we can pick the ones that all generally look the same, similar diameter and those kinds of things.
Tim, I think what you're talking about, Tim, is like a copper cap. And then that weathers, it turns, greenish blue, over the course of time.
Yeah,
Copper is available. I mean, you can still buy it, sheets of copper and cut out a circle and make a cap.
Thank you. I'll ask Ed if he has any need for it. And get back to you. You take those
Better
off.
watch it. Ed might try to sell them to the project. I think he's trying to get Public Works to come in at a profit. So,
yeah, good luck. Do you have a source for rope?
that's a good question. Source for rope. We ought to look for that too. That's pretty obtainable. That's obtainable.
Maybe the fisherman in town.
Yeah.
Okay, I just gonna make a motion, if that's okay, that Kurt reaches out to Martin Lavero today by email to get us the costs of what he has as soon as possible so we can make some decisions.
I think Kurt's frozen.
Nope, I'm here.
Oh,
Second that, Mary Jo, if that's, I'm not sure you need a motion for that, but I think that's, but I'll second that. I agree. Kurt should move into that and get some numbers from Martin Lavero.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It's
So
unanimous.
Kurt, my question to you, Kurt, is do you think we can have that by next Tuesday?
All I can say is I will reach out to the contractor as soon as our meeting is done here. And I will circle back with him. So if, for example, if I see him I've proposed a site walk with DOT on Thursday. I will also remind him then. And then when Mary Jo and I have our kind of summary meeting to run down this to-do list item for him, we'll also mention it then. So we will express our desire to get that every single time we talk to him.
Friday again, he reiterated that he was just having difficulty hearing back from the manufacturers.
I certainly know what he's mean. It's so difficult to get numbers and quotes on anything these days. So I could really empathize with them.
But I think the plan to get the biggies identified makes sense. I mean, we have an estimate of what trash barrels are. They're in our budget for Soundview, for example. If we needed to, we could use that. We know what the bike repair station is. We already got a quote on that, so we can estimate that. The benches we can probably pull from what we did on the last project, roughly at a surcharge, and a good estimate. And then he was going to also give us the cost for the curbing at Cross and Shore, right?
Yes, thank you for reminding me on that, Mary Jo. So I had sent him a diagram, might have been before last week, but Friday, in any event, we reviewed the specific area where we wanted the curbing. And essentially it's between the edge of the driveway ramp. I can't remember the address, but the driveway ramp to the last house on Shore Road, coming around on the cross lane to the edge of the handicap ramp that crosses cross lane.
Probably Nickerson.
Yeah,
That's the one. Yep.
262. Yeah. Great.
Now, Kurt, I just want to make sure for the driveway aprons that are to, the angle is not right on Hartford Avenue, that work is going to happen sooner than later, because I think there was discussion earlier it would be done in the fall, but it's going to happen soon.
No, my recommendation would be for the corrective action on Hartford Avenue, and right now there are 6 aprons that don't extend to the right-of-way line. It's my recommendation that that work occur in the fall.
That's what I thought, yeah. So in the case of Portalance, if he were wanting to put a concrete ramp in there, would he have to go through Laverio, or would he be able to do it and be set? I guess the standard might not be the same if he does it.
In general terms, if a homeowner wants to do work within the town right-of-way, they would need to get a permit through the town. And then the town would review specifically what that homeowner proposed to do, materials of construction, the specific layout, configuration, and the like. And I'm not sure what the town's process is. They may actually have to, some towns actually have a town level encroachment permit that requires insurance and a bond, because again, you're working on town property. I'm not sure what Old Line's procedure is, but typically that would be the standard procedure if a homeowner wanted to do work within the town's right of way.
I know we're kind of jumping around, but Tim, we asked the committee to consider our options, and we're drafting a letter for you to review. You know, the concrete apron was on the table, and you know, it sounded like that was going to go through in May, and then they changed their mind. Have you heard otherwise now?
No, but the fall gives a little more time to get this figured out. So he thinks he can do it for less than the net amount we were talking about, which I don't believe he can. So we could say, here's what, you know, if you think you can get it done for less, here's the criteria, and here's what has to be done. And if it gets to be a town permit and all that stuff, he might just say, well, have the contractor do it. I mean, if he wants concrete. Otherwise, if it's not done, then we have to put the bituminous in.
See, here's the problem that we keep going back to this particular homeowner. The committee has decided what's going to happen in the fall. If we give them the option now to start shopping around, they can just keep telling us, well, we're shopping around, and they never get it done. And then this liability to the town with the stones remains a liability. And then someone's got to keep hounding them to get it done. So now it's going to be, we're going to give them a timeline of, you know, you have until X date. It's just, we're going around and around with this again. I thought we decided this last week. We made a motion was made, a decision was made by the committee that it would follow the plans, you know, per what they signed. And now we're going to go back to them again with another option?
No, I'd
That's
say
just my opinion. The rest of the committee wants to decide to give them a timeline and a cutoff date. You know, that's the committee's decision.
the timeline is the fall when it has to be done. It would be bituminous. And so if he wants to, pay Liberio for the upgrade. If that offer's still on the table, they could put a concrete one in for them, I guess.
Yeah, but they already said they didn't want to pay Liberio to do it. They know the price. Correct?
That's
He did
right,
say
Ed.
that. But if he thinks about it, he might, if he talked to anybody, he might find that's a pretty good price. I don't know.
Well,
I'll wait for the letter. That'll be the letter.
yeah, Tim, the committee also thought you might want to run it by the town attorney too. So,
Well, I don't know. Please,
well, there's some liability concerns. Certainly that's your call. So in this letter, we address that and suggest that you might want to run it by Sushman and
Well,
Shapiro.
I guess the bottom line is it's going to be a bituminous in the fall. If he wants to reconsider the concrete one installed by Livero, let's say, that would be an option. If Livero would still be willing to install it in the fall.
I would think that we send the letter.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. He comes back with something written that says, I want to put my own concrete thing, then we can respond back to that. Let's not give him the cafeteria choice, A, B, C, or D. I mean, granted, you could have an offline conversation with the homeowner and say, if you want to do something different, that's fine. Propose what you want to do and send it to the committee and we'll see. But leave it at that. I think the letter has to be in their hands so that we have a deadline. And if they come back to him and they say, we'll have our own concrete guy do it and we can get it done.
No, I think it'd be simpler to say it's going to be 2 minutes in the fall. If you would like to have concrete, it's got to be Livero who puts it in. Here's the price that they would charge you to do that.
That would be the condition. What we do not want to get into is the homeowner shopping around for a cheaper price, and then we have to vet that contractor, make sure they're DOT approved. While our project is still open with the DOT, we're responsible for what goes on there in the end. Livero's part of the project. I mean, they're contracted to do this work. If the homeowner has that, if you can back channel to them and they say, you know what, on second thought, we should do this, then now's the time to speak up and jump on that $1,200 upgrade. But we can't go beyond that. We can't.
Yeah, I think that's quite reasonable.
Yeah.
So that's number 31. Worth noting, and I put this in the draft letter, they haven't moved their fence either. Okay, number 29 is the Butchers, their next door neighbors. I've had some emails with them. They're concerned that their driveway, the blending of the yard to their driveway is still not done yet. They feel it's a concern. And they also aren't seeing much grass growing on their driveway. When the contractor was here last Friday, Kurt and I pointed that concern out to him, and he understood that has to be completed. Their new bituminous driveway got done about 2 weeks ago, week and a half. So I did notice that the grass is not growing well there. So over the weekend, I got them some seed, the same kind that the contractor is using, some starter. I thought they might want to throw some on while they're waiting. The homeowner is very upset about that offer and will not be doing that. So that's where we are.
So they'll just wait till the contractor fix it. If they want to live with mud, that's their business.
That's right. Number 27, we're still waiting on the fence. Kurt, is it your understanding that it was ordered though, right?
That is correct. He confirmed that the fence has been ordered and we're simply waiting for delivery.
Great, thank you. Number 23 is the mailbox post. Apparently there's a shortage of mailbox posts. I even went looking. I could find square ones, but not the round ones like the other mailboxes. So there does seem to be a shortage of the post. So we're waiting to, that was hopefully going to get in last week, but so far it's not there.
While we're talking about mailbox posts, did resident from the east side of Swan Avenue, Hartford Avenue contact you, Mary Jo?
Who?
Somebody on the east side has their mailbox on the west side, okay?
Yeah,
And they bought this $90, $100 decorative post that they just installed last year, and they wanted it back. And I do recall seeing it, so they want to know where it went.
I don't know anything about that. I know number 8 got given to me, and their mailbox is on the east side, or they live on the east side. Their mailbox is on the west side, and they got a new mailbox, but I haven't heard it from anybody else. What's the name, Frank?
I don't recall. I'd have to get it for you. They approached me Saturday night, so I wrote it in my book. I just don't have it with me.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. Okay. Talked about the sod, maybe having it come in the fall. Update on the watering on Friday. The rangers and I and the policeman who's overseeing them did some training down there on the watering, and a couple of rangers seemed fine with it. Over the weekend, I guess, one of the policemen was practicing, trying to get some more throughput of the water, different hose. Someone took a picture of him, posted it on social media, so that yesterday I was informed from the police that this watering is not in their contract. Also, the fire department doesn't want to help because it's political. So I responded that,
Wait a second.
yeah,
How could the town public works project be political? I just want to know how that works.
good question, Frank. I don't know. It makes no sense. This is a town asset we're responsible for. So I just said the plan is for the rangers to do the watering, but yes, they do need some oversight, but the plan is to have the rangers do it. I did reach out to our finance department on the, Bonnie, you had suggested, and I thought this was great, the traffic guard. She is under the police budget. She only is budgeted for a couple hours, so we'd have to see if she is interested in picking up more hours under our project. So that's where I'm at with that. I did get a pretty cool hose that I gave to the rangers and the fire department. It looks like a real fire hose that if we can work it out, I think the throughput of the water would be great. This was a recommendation Kurt made. And if you've never been to Harbor Freight in New London, you should go. It's amazing. They have everything. I went nuts. So we're kind of stuck there. I'm hoping that the Rangers, they spent about 2 hours last week on training on it and recorded their time. So
Do you see the fire hydrant connection for that larger hose, Mary Jo?
Yes, I need, that's the problem. I don't have a coupling.
And the fire department wouldn't even loan you the connection?
I can only tell you what they told the police.
Okay.
Nobody's told me directly that they thought it was political, but the police told me that the fire department told them it was political, so. I don't know. It's ridiculous. It's really sad. Sad state of affairs. Let's see. I did.
Tim, is there anything you could do talking to the fire department for help?
I guess we have to get what's needed. I don't know if it's a coupling.
Yeah, it's an inch and a half coupling, and inch and a half lay flat hose. We need a couple of lengths of inch and a half lay flat hose, and I think that'll marry up to the hose that Mary Jo bought. And and then an inch and a half reducer from the hydrant tab reducer.
So we have a standard hose, a fitting that needs to go to the hydrant. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's what I saw, is an inch and a half hose.
Does it have to go through that measuring meter thing that the Connecticut Water gave us?
I'd have to look.
Yeah, it's down at the fire, I'm sorry, it's down at the police station.
I'll try to look at it tomorrow morning, Mary Jo.
We
Okay.
need to know just what the heck we need, because if I thought that device that connects to the hydrant has a little meter and then the hose hooks onto the end of that.
Yes.
Well,
Well-
Frank, maybe you can email Tim what is needed, since you seem to know. And then maybe
Yeah,
he can
I got
ask.
I got some fittings, fire hydrant fittings here. I'm gonna try to bring them tomorrow and see if I could.
But it seems like if that measuring device only accommodates a hose, you're still going to have a constriction at the end of at the end of that device.
Typically, those meters are larger, and then they reduce down to whatever your ultimate hose is. So I just need to look and see where the reducer is. It's on the front end of the meter or on the back end of the meter. So we'll just figure it out.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate that. When we were walking on Friday, I met Paul Nickerson for the first time, and he and his wife and their daughter. They were going to identify the rocks they want at the property that has the boulders for them. I hadn't heard back from him, so I did email him today to see if they had had a chance to identify what they want. He had mentioned they wanted 5 or 6 to go on their property, and they would identify them and they'd put kind of where they want them on their lawn. I emailed him today that really needed to know that. I'd go with them if they want, but I need to make sure I know which rocks he's interested in so I can share that with the contractor to see if we can even do this, because they're pretty big. I did go up there and took a picture of some of the boulders and sent that to Kurt. Kurt did send that to Martin Lavera, so he has some idea of what we're talking about. So that's where we're at on that. Teddy 264. Apparently, this is another repair that's going to have to happen when Martin Lavera comes back. The section in front of his section of curbing by his tables and chairs didn't go in straight, and apparently the nearest I can tell is while the asphalt was going in, Teddy was there talking with the guys who were laying the asphalt curbing, and there was a discussion on breaking the asphalt, letting a little area between the back of sidewalk and the curb, cut it open to let water from Teddy's restaurant pass through, which of course that's not going to happen. So when we were walking on Friday, we saw that cut through. That has to be corrected. And then they laid it such that the curbing hits his walkway and water, it cannot get released from there. In short, they didn't follow the design. So Martin Lavera has to replace that piece of asphalt. And it'd be great to have that done when they're doing the curbing at Cross, if we get the price. So I don't know why they did that. It just did that. Teddy now would like sod out front instead of the grass. And I questioned him on that because initially he didn't want any grass because he didn't want to mow it. And now he'd like sod, I guess, because now that he's seen the sod, he likes it. And I said that he'd have to pay for it. And he agreed to that. So I have to get some kind of measurement of how much sod, and I'm not sure if he'll want it next week, but this week he does.
He's gonna have to water it also, right, Mary Jo? We're not gonna pay for the watering.
He asked me that too. No, we're not doing any watering. I don't have permission to use the meter onshore. He's gonna have to water his own grass. I think the two drives Kurt mentioned need to be paved at 264, and like Kurt said, those need to be done soon. So we need to get a target date for all of this work so that we can tell Paul Nickerson, can tell Teddy, and we can tell the families at 264 that they're coming in to get paid. This particular family at 264, as you recall, were unhappy about the design of where the driveways were going to be. And Kurt took the time to come out with the foreman of Martin Lavero and made an accommodation the DOT was comfortable with for the layout. And then last week, apparently, and the son called me and he seemed happy with all the decision. But apparently the son has gone on social media talking about a lawsuit regarding this. And I was informed by the police department that his real issue is that last year he got a $500 ticket for parking cars illegally going to the beach there. So that made a lot more sense to me when I heard that part. So we do need to get those paved as soon as we can. There was, as we talked about last week, evidence of people driving up the crosswalk ramp at 282 Shore to the unimproved lot. We had talked briefly about maybe we want to consider putting a barrier there of some kind. I don't know if anybody had any further thoughts on that.
Well, I thought we were gonna just grab one of those rocks and put that there.
I know we talked about it, but I wasn't sure if we really, my notes were unclear if that's what we decided to do. We can.
Doesn't DOT take the dim view of rocks close to the road?
It would have to be far enough back.
Because I know when the garden club wanted one of those big platters at the end of the exit 70 ramp for flowers and stuff, and DOT said, no, a car is going to come down there and clonk into it, and so they wouldn't allow it.
Another option is to install a curb at the back of the ramp. Because the ramp is depressed, you could install a section of concrete curb at the back of the ramp.
Well, I think just if we're gonna move rocks for Nickerson, we just grab a couple extra ones. All we need to do is put one or two obstacles in that pathway so they can't get a car up the ramp, up that crosswalk.
Yeah.
I think Kurt would know better, but I think DOT probably wouldn't allow it in their right of way. The reason it works at Nickerson's is we're putting it on Nickerson's property.
Right.
So we would have to, at this point, put it in that unimproved lot on private property, which I don't know that they would approve that either. So maybe we should think about something softer, like, telephone poles or
Telephone pole from the lot.
Right. As much as I hate those things, they're coming
I
in.
know.
They're useful now. Or trees or something. I doubt DOT would allow it in their right of way. They like to keep that fairly clear.
Were the people that drove up the ramp people from the home on the? We
Yeah,
don't
we don't-
know. Just somebody that drove in there.
It could have been their landscaper. We don't know, but it was obvious. I mean,
Point. It's very inviting for someone wanting to drive into that lot. It's very inviting. It's like a little driveway almost.
yeah. Kurt, what would you recommend we could do at this point with that?
Well, I think because I'll be out there with the DOT inspector at some point, I think it makes sense to ask them what DOT would approve, since it's on their property. We want to be very careful about, you know, making improvements that are on DOT's property, you know, to the point of rocks or whatnot. And it may be that a simple curb along the back of that ramp may be all that's needed.
Great, thank you.
So I'll confirm and I'll circle back.
Okay,
I'm sure it's not the first time they've run into something.
yeah, all right, thank you. I think we've gone through all our outstanding concerns. Before I move on, is there anything anyone wants to add on this? All right, we have an invoice to approve. Apparently it came to town hall, and then Tim was kind enough to send it to a BSC group for approval, to review and approval. And Kurt, have you had a chance to look at that?
I have. So it's Martin Lavero's first payment application.
Right.
Let me actually open it up. I can just give the committee a quick
Oh, thank you.
overview. Yep, I have it on my screen here. Okay, so this is payment application number 1. And Martin Lavero has confirmed that there'll probably only be 2 on the project. Again, setting the transit center aside. I concur with the percentages that he is indicating in the application. And the total value of this application is $185,926.85.
Is that about 75%?
That's correct. Yep.
Do you need a motion for that, Mary Jo?
Yes,
Make
please.
a motion that we approve that invoice.
Can I have a second? Thank you, Jim. Any discussion?
Kurt, will you send me that executed section? Are you supposed to sign off on it?
Yes, I'll sign off on it and
Scan it back.
put a cover letter on it and get it back to you. Yep.
And by the way, the payroll consultant said one thing she had corrected, but was minor. And so she said the payroll certifications is squared away.
Good.
Good. All right. Any other comments?
Could I mention one thing on the topic of invoices? I had sent an invoice to town hall recently related to the easement at the Easy Mart from March, the small one, $270. But it'd be very helpful if somebody could look into that.
That was sent upstairs, so that should be in the works.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And maybe on your invoices for the $15,000, maybe could you put in grant eligible, grant ineligible, or non-grant eligible, something like that? Just the amounts
I
I did
certainly
ask you
can.
on one, but
Yeah, I could certainly put that on there.
the language is just a little different, so just to be sure I'm paying the right thing to the right place.
Okay, yep,
Thank
happy
you.
to do that.
Okay, I'm back on the motion from Frank and seconded by Jim for the 185,926.85. Can I have a vote, please? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you all.
Kurt, while we're talking about invoices from Martin Lavero, has he indicated any overages at this point that we should be concerned about?
He has not. I think there was one potentially small change order for 2 additional detectable warning panels, but I do not see those noted on his payment application because they do note change orders on there, so I haven't seen any potential change orders or change orders come through. And I don't think there was anything else at this point that is considered extra that they've done.
Okay, so at this point, I mean, we're probably gonna be pretty close to being on budget then, with their original proposal then.
Yep, we'll have the little bit of money. I can't imagine it's gonna be a lot for the curbing. If we move forward with that down at Shore Road and Cross Lane. That's really it.
Kurt, do they have you sign off on the change orders before they perform them?
Yes, there's typically, it's similar to the payment application, and then, so I'll review it from a technical standpoint and usually do a price check. And then I'll recommend to you as the municipal administrator on the project, and then ultimately, as the municipal administrator, you would sign off on it as their formal notice to proceed with the work. And then that just becomes a change in the contract.
Just to remind the committee, on the project schedule, they sent out the estimated construction cost for the contracted items. I just rounded up, but it was basically 261,000.
Say that again, Mary Jo?
261,000.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, we were allowed 10% for incidentals and contingencies of construction costs only. So if their construction cost is 261,000, that means incidentals are 26,100, contingency 26,100, making the total project construction cost of 313,200.
If they use the contingency.
What?
If
Sorry.
they use the contingency.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Right. So assuming, and we probably won't, but assuming they do that, the difference was 86,800 between that, our construction costs and the grant of 400.
Well, we have to wait and see what the numbers come back, and then we could do a,
Yep,
pro forma accounting and then take it from there.
yep, absolutely. As soon as we get that, then, I like the idea of the spreadsheet. We can put everything and look at it.
No reason to speculate now, so.
Right, okay. Then we're moving on, unless anyone else has any other comments, to approval of minutes of last week of June 8th. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to
make a mo-
approve.
Second,
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Bonnie. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
There
Thank
we
you.
go. I've got a skedaddle here, so
Okay,
thank you.
bye, Tim.
Hi, Tim.
Bye.
Bye.
Next meetings, do we want to shoot for next Tuesday?
Well, I would have no problem next Tuesday, but by Friday, if we don't have a number, we cancel it.
Okay,
Or what, we have to have 24-hour notice to cancel, Mary Jo?
that's correct.
So we could cancel all the way up to 4 o'clock on Monday, right?
Well, by noon on Monday, because they won't get it posted. I don't get it
Okay.
up, but yeah, we can wait till Monday, but hopefully we'll know by Friday. It would be nice. So that would be a 4 o'clock meeting for June 22nd.
That's fine. I'll have to leave by 5 that day, just so we're all aware.
That sounds good. All right.
Yeah, I got to run myself right now, so.
Okay, well, it's 4:55. There isn't anything else. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
second,
Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Bonnie. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, everybody.
See y'all
Appreciate it.
later.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a great night.
You
Good night.
too.
Too. Bye.